Hello, and welcome to the World of Autism podcast, a podcast about all things autism. I am Dr. Jeff Knight, and I'm on a mission to create hope, peace of mind, freedom, and confidence for these children with autism, and in serving their families to help create the happiest, healthiest versions of themselves. In this podcast, we dive deep in creating many different solutions, talking about resources, and providing insight and stories of hope for families that suffer and have challenges with autism. Please join with me, and I look forward to connecting with you. Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Jeff Knight, and I am thrilled to be with Mr. Mitch Lepicello. And as a guest, that I haven't had anyone like Mitch on this podcast before, so I'm thrilled to have you hear what he has to bring to the table for serving families that have children on the autism spectrum. And looking forward to learning from him and connecting with him today. So, Mitch, thanks so much for being with us today on the podcast.
Hi, Jeffrey. Thanks so much for having me today.
You bet. And Mitch comes with some really unique experience. He's been a clinical social worker for over 30 years, and he's going to be talking, I'm assuming, a little bit more about something he's authored, which is called the Calm Compass. It's an autism online parenting program. And so I'm going to allow him to share quite a bit about what that is, what it looks like, how it can serve you and your family. But I'd love to hear, first of all, Mitch, if you'd be willing to share with us a little bit about you and your background and how you even got to this place.
Absolutely. And thanks again, Jeffrey, for having me. So, as a young social worker, I kind of learned that autism was something really outside my realm. So I was kind of trained early on to go, well, autism isn't something I'm probably going to be a part of or probably help at all. Almost directly, like being asked, oh, if you're going to see people with autism, then you're probably not going to be in this class. So from our clinical training early on, and that was my most early recollection of being how kind of seeing how autism was very different from other challenges that people faced in the mental health world. So going forward, flash forward, 5-10 years now I'm in it, but still a greenhorn in the clinical social work world, and now seeing the word Asperger's syndrome pop up, and asking my colleagues, what's Asperger's syndrome? And hearing that it's a form of autism, and now I'm perplexed, like, right. What is this about? Yeah. And saying, and so it was really, and I kind of remember that moment to say, I need to know more about that. So what I first learned was that I'm not going to be interacting with folks with ASD, and now I am. I'm kind of behind the eight ball. I got a little bit like, I should understand this. If I'm going to be seeing people with Asperger's, I didn't even know it was kind of a thing. And this was in the early 90s. So I then started investigating and looking at my own client population, my own kids and families that I was seeing, and going, holy smokes, holy cow, we're missing a lot of people.
Wow.
With Asperger's, and like, if that and this, and I'm making these connections, and now I'm diving in a little bit further, and then I'm starting to see a lot more kids, and then I'm seeing a lot more families, and over time I've just kind of been exclusively seeing people from 5 to 75 with various forms of autism.
Wow.
And really watching the whole thing change over that time. So
amazing.
It's been a journey for me, and all these families and kids that I've seen, and I appreciate them kind of allowing me to be a part of their journey too. It's been hard for them. So
thank you. One question I have about that, when you say a lot of these individuals, you feel like they were being missed, does that mean that they were being missed in the sense of not being served the way they needed to be served, or just people weren't recognizing that they even existed and that they really needed more attention and service in the clinical social work area of your work. Explain a little bit more about that for me.
Yeah, um, I'll kind of say all of that. I mean,
Okay.
there are all these factors of not understanding, and sometimes even the definition changing. So from a culturally clinical world, autism has moved, changed, evolved from even a definition standpoint. So, from the medical perspective, from the parent perspective. So then that gets identified from one in, 1,000 or one in 10,000 or one in 1,000 to now it's like, one in 60 to one in 30,
Right.
or
Right.
thereabouts. Right. So people say, oh, it's an epidemic. And so I really land on, we are just getting so much better at seeing people differently. And I suspect it'll continue to evolve. Like autism and autism spectrum disorder, and well, it won't even be a disorder. It'll just be a neurodivergent, different brain styles and so on and so forth. So I don't think we're done seeing it continue to evolve. And people, so the missed part is we've been seeing this person and helping these people in ways, honestly not good for them. I'll be quite
Gotcha.
honest, like, you know, and I'm right there with them, and and so my job was to, or what I felt my mission was at that point, and I didn't really think about it as a mission, but just like, oh, we have to change this. We have to change the way we're helping folks with ASD, because we're not doing them any service at all. The way we're talking about these challenges, the way we're grouping them into people who think neurotypically versus neurodivergently.
Yeah.
So that whole shift has kind of been ongoing, really, just
Okay. And
and
share with
probably how they end up getting to see you, and alternate ways of healing, and alternate ways um, of working through some of these strategies.
right.
All bodies kind of.
Yeah. No, there's just so many different ways to serve these individuals, and you play an important role. I'm curious with what is your typical approach that you've used over the years as far as serving individuals on the autism spectrum. So like when you first started learning about it and seeing the need, to where, that was 30 years ago, and going forward, how has your approach changed? How have you served, and what are you focusing on now? What is some of the things that you're doing now in your clinic, or in your coaching, or your service? So if you could walk me through
Sure,
those
sure,
last
sure.
30 years, I'd love to hear more about your approach to serving these individuals.
Okay, I'll try not to put your listeners to sleep here with this, because I can go on, but I'm going to try and
Okay.
be, the emphatic and dynamic, and get to the end here sooner than 30 years. So don't go to sleep, everybody. Just
Yeah.
hang with me here. Hang with me. Um, but so I'm, when people come in, they often feel like um, it must just be. I mean, people come in with a story, with their individual story that is that is different, that is very individual. There are a lot of themes, and those themes are, um, I knew something was different with my child. Nobody really heard me or paid
Mm,
attention to my story. um,
sure.
I didn't see the differences my child had, either because I also had those similar differences as a genetic predisposition, and I feel horrible, guilty as a parent and caregiver. And so I need help with that. Um, our family is kind of in chaos and utter dysregulation, and I'm at a loss, and I'm helpless and hopeless as a parent caregiver. So parents brought in these versions of their stories through their children. So the children were kind of the identified clients and the identified um, folks I started seeing. But as I went, as I grew, and as I learned, and as I heard more of these stories, I'm hearing parents more and more say, we're still we're still missing the boat. My child is still getting misdiagnosed. I'm still feeling overwhelmed. There still aren't enough services for my kids. I still feel like I've missed things, and I'm not good at helping them. And we need to create a better service delivery for helping these kids with ASD. So I went from kind of serving individual kids, which I still do, to a way more family and parent caregiver support kind of practice. And really the birth of the Calm Compass. I mean, and that
Nice.
kind of came right to the our moment we're at today, which is for parents, caregivers, and now for schools, clinic centers to work with the families and parents, kind of give a better clinic, school, parent support system,
Right.
than
I think
just
that,
like a support group or a token shout out to Autism Awareness Month or whatever. But nope, this is yeah,
yeah, I love that. I mean, because ultimately, if you can empower the parents with children with autism, I mean, it's going to serve everyone in such a beautiful way. I always look at when I serve someone that's on the autism spectrum that I am serving the whole family because it is
nice,
a whole
yeah,
family affair,
yeah.
right? And so it sounds like that's exactly what you're doing is providing solutions for the families and empowering the parents. Um, is that correct?
That's spot on, Jeffrey. Spot on. Yeah, parents just they don't know, and there's no direct service for them. There's only in our kind of medical model of helping people, aside from education, and education is directly to often the children, IEPs and so on and so forth, and medication directly for the child. There's very little that offer parents. What do we do in these situations?
Right.
And that kind of blows my mind. Like,
Yeah.
you know, even today.
No, I mean they are the primary caregivers of these children, and as we know, it's a full-time job, and
Right,
it's all hands on deck, right?
right,
And
right.
so it can be so overwhelming and so challenging for these incredible parents that are trying to do their best. So I want to hear more about what this Calm Compass is about and how this is serving these parents and caregivers and how it connects with the schools and even some of these other centers. Share with us more about this Calm Compass. I want to hear more about it.
Right. The Calm Compass. So I love the well, it's an acronym. So CALM stands for connect, articulate, lift, and move. Okay. And so that serves as a guide, as a compass for parents to go, which direction should we move in? Um, Connect is all about relationships and using the relationship with your child to help them, support them. And then there are three strategies in every direction. So if I need to feel, if for example, my child is feeling um, lowly motivated, not full on dysregulation, but just down and hopeless and left out. And there's a moment in their life, often like middle school and adolescence, where they're just. I mean, it can include any age, but those are some of the prime ages where they start to really lose their peer group. They're in that stage of development. So like, where'd my friends go? What do I do? And then they're feeling lonely and isolated. And so we use Lift to inspire and motivate, help them work through some of those kinds of um, esteem challenges, and building them up so that they can feel good again. Um, so articulate is all about the language. The language that we use is so important. Um, Kids don't say what they mean and sometimes mean what they say. And if we take it too literally, too rigidly, we're going to lose meaning and understanding of what they're really trying to tell us. And the flip side, we don't sometimes say what we mean. Sometimes we jump to communication. We don't wait for them to process our words and language. So we say things over, and it's not connecting or resonating with them, and we're losing ground. And so we really need to work with our language and our I mean, that is our main form of communication is language. But it
Mm-hmm.
also includes nonverbal strategies, almost more powerful than verbal strategies, right?
Sure.
So does your child resonate with the more of a nonverbal kind of approach to things, like visuals and body posture and tone of voice, and versus verbal words and language?
Okay.
Um, And then move. I'll save connect for the last one, but move is all about movement. So rehearsal is a great strategy in that direction. Rehearse, recreate, and those strategies are let's get up and do something about how we feel. I think move came from one of the three pillars of good mental health is exercise, diet, and sleep. So exercise, movement, being active helps change our emotional state, right? So we
Yep.
need to move our bodies. And so that can be little things to big things. Doesn't matter. Let's do something. Sometimes this talk therapy thing is like, no, let's just go out and walk. Let's
Yeah.
just go walk. And holy cow, when we walk and talk, wow, that changes things.
Mm.
Um, so the biggest direction is right out of the gate, connect. So connect, articulate, lift, and move. So connect is all about kind of the relationships. And those are really self-calming, um, self-regulating strategies. If I leave this conversation, if parents leave this session today, this podcast with anything, it's helping your child feel connected.
Mm.
I think that's the biggest message I want to put out there is their challenge is being connected because of the narrow way in which they perceive the world. I mean, they are bright, intelligent, loving, compassionate, giving people from 5 to 75 to 85 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just the way in which they see it sometimes doesn't catch the whole picture. And we need to use relate as a strategy to kind of impart I understand you, and if I don't understand you, I want to know where you're coming from. I want to know how you think about things. I want to know how you see the world, and not see it through my eyes, but how do you see that situation? How do you see that? So what is it like for them is kind of the big message I try to help parents resolve. It's like, what's it like for your kid today at
Nice.
school? What was it like for them?
Nice.
And once they go, oh my God, it was torment and challenge and tornadoes and you know, I am now connected to my child.
Nice.
But that's a lot of emotion. That's a lot of emotional content, right? I mean, that's powerful stuff to just kind of like, what's it like for you? Oh wow, it's not easy. It's not
No,
easy
that's
work.
that's huge. I think oftentimes individuals on the autism spectrum get misunderstood for not being aware or knowledgeable enough with certain categories or topics. And even though they may struggle to communicate, they are intelligent and they want to be treated, I guess you would say at the level where they feel like, they should be treated. And I know sometimes it's like easy for, maybe it's a school teacher or some kind of a therapist and say, hey, let's watch, you know, uh, some 3-year-old cartoon again, where this child's like, no, I want to be more advanced. I understand math really well. I understand problem solving, but they might not be able to communicate it. So I think the power of connection and understanding them and really trying to see them where they're at. I mean, that is so important and such a good reminder. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. I was just talking to a kid the other day, and he goes, I just don't feel well. And so we used the stress rating scale to try to kind of, instead of putting a word to that feeling, we just, I was looking at the parent. I said, do you mind if I just kind of ask him like a bunch of different things? I don't know if you say it this way, but I'm just gonna, and you can just watch me. And I said, so where in your body do you feel weird? You know? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, it's okay. Let's just go through this. And so the child just started to kind of go, okay, he's not going to let this go, is he? Nope, he's not. Mitch is going to just keep going. Okay, so
Yeah.
so he goes, I kind of, my stomach feels weird, my head feels weird, and I said, well, let's talk about the place you're in today. We're meeting today for the maybe second time or third time, and so even though the room now is familiar to you, um, our our relationship might not be familiar. You might not know who I am yet, and it may just feel like you might even smell or sense something different in this room. What are you picking up on? And he just kind of went, I don't know. I've never been asked that before. And I'm like, that's okay. Let's just take in your surroundings because you pick up on your surroundings probably better than I do. Like you sense a lot of things. And so with just acknowledging, and I do this for a living, so it comes more naturally to me. What I want to help parents do is like, this works,
Mm-hmm.
helping them pick up on, and then they're internal. Where internally are you feeling a little dysregulated? What do you need for that? And so talking about like how parents get in, kind of bridging somewhat into your work probably with families about where they're feeling like,
Yeah,
or where I'm not, connected internally, where I
sure.
need some other kinds of, connections to feel righted. So just having them pay attention to their own without them feeling like something's wrong with them or
Right.
like they're different again, like again. Um,
Yeah.
but what they say is valid. Even though it sounds strange, um, that's just the beginning. Let's really get into it. Let's
Yeah.
help them be able to start describing things that they've kind of kept in their kept to themselves, maybe up to this point.
Sure. Yeah. I really agree 100%. And I love that example with that individual of just being able to ask the right kind of questions and help them really evaluate their surroundings. That is really important. I really am a big fan of the movement piece too. And I
Hmm.
know it's so common for us to allow our screens to basically take control and just kind of rule over our children. And I'm guilty as a parent. Oftentimes I'll say, hey, just go watch a show or something. So
Right. Well, right.
it can
It's
be
okay.
it is okay. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
technology and using those things, but I'm glad that you intentionally are putting in movement, and that's something that I find is so important for any child, whether they're on the spectrum or not. Just getting movement is so good for their body, their physiology, their brain health, the blood flow, and just like you said, sometimes that will stir up an opportunity to connect even on a deeper level where they might be more willing to share or maybe display some of the things that they need or want. So I like that a lot. Did you come up with
Oh,
this?
thanks, Jeffrey.
Yeah, did you come up with the calm compass just through the experiences that you've had over the years? And you said, "Wow, I find that when children are experiencing this, then I see better outcomes on all levels of their life." I mean, I'm curious how this all came about and where this came from, or if this is something someone else inspired you too. I don't know.
Right, right. Well, I mean, they're one of I didn't put this on one of my most favorite books, but I have several. And one of my most like favorite parenting books that I read as a parent was written actually in the 80s. It's How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk.
Mm.
And when we listen to kids, they tell us stuff.
Yeah,
And if we don't, so instead of doing a lot of directing and telling children kind of what to do and telling them, you know, things that are telling them the rules of things that they already know and they know by heart, and they probably know the rules better than you and I know the rules of certain things. They just can't execute those rules. They can't execute and adapt and cope in those sort of needed moments. So um, I digress a little bit, but it's a great reminder that we need to. I think I put that in articulate. If I didn't, I should, because it is how to talk so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk. Um, but the I started with some strategies for parents. I think I started with like 5 R's, and they were the 5 R's of parenting.
okay.
And then so one of them was regulate,
Mhm.
probably relate. Um, Rehearse was probably one. So all these are words, and then I wrote them out. I said, here's a parent strategy for you to take, and just you know check this out, and then take it with them. So I just kind of made like a one sheet thing and take that with you. And then I'm realizing that these were solid strategies. I kept using them over and over and over again. Parents were looking for kind of that same, especially, regulate, helping children know when their child needs self-regulation, and then being able to actually help them do something about it. And so it became the 6 R's, the 7 R's. Once I think I got to 8, I said, this is ridiculous. I'm going to have like 30 R's here. Like, what's
Right.
going on? Where's this going? So I said, I need to make something. And so it's been kind of a while in the
Yeah.
making.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and with a lot of collaborators and a lot of, mind sharing with folks over the years, putting together something that, I love the compass. I love exploring, but I also like to kind of know where I'm going. I sometimes have a tendency to just take off and go, I need a direction, people. I need to know where I'm going. I need to know what I'm doing. So
Sure.
could be a little self-help from Mitch too in that regard. But what I like about it is that it's not a step necessarily. So we're not in like you need to learn the first step, the second step, the third step. You can actually take a direction. It's just what does my child need right now?
Okay.
And often it is about, and I like that C is kind of the first direction in the Calm Compass because it is about like, hey, I'm your parent. I care about you. I love you. What do you need? How can I help you?
Mm.
Bringing that nice tone of voice down, just bringing that connection. And as soon as you have that, as soon as you work off that, that's the magic right there. I mean,
Yeah.
can't even put
Nice.
words to it. It's just things happen. So helping them, you know, helping parents kind of get to that because it is overwhelming and you're in parent mode, executive function, prefrontal cortex. I got to do this. I got this. I got this. I got this.
Yeah.
Being a parent's hard
That,
work. I got appointments,
Oh yeah. I'd love to
right?
hear
So,
I'd love to hear from you, Mitch, some of your success stories as far as when you've introduced this to families and maybe where some of those families were at prior to engaging with the Calm Compass and your work and to how that maybe transformed their lives in how they could better connect and serve their children on the spectrum and what that looks like. Do you have some examples that you could share with us?
uh, sure. This is, um, shameless bragging of how great the Calm Compass is not my strong suit.
Well, this is your
But parents,
opportunity to
this is your
brag.
opportunity. Okay, so
Yes. And
we all have
we're
things we got to
allowing
work
it.
on.
We're allowing it.
Okay, we're allowing it.
We encourage it actually.
We encourage it. Okay. I no, parents have just given fantastic feedback about the Calm Compass. There's so much content, and there's just it may be, it probably takes, someone um, just to go through the whole program, probably around 3 to 5 months. So there's just so much content with the videos, the exercises, and then reviewing those videos, reviewing some of the content. There's a practice session there, just sort of a vision of what you would like your child, how you would like to be different with your child. Like imagine yourself doing something different with your child. Imagine yourself, responding differently to you. And that is one of the hardest exercises that I've heard about, for the parents and caregivers because they've just been so trained to have, we're going to fight, we're just going to have conflict. And, I'm the parent, I'll just, you know, go down, but it sucks for me, it sucks for them. And for them
Yeah.
to go, I, I can't even imagine how that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I can't imagine, Mitch, how this is going to be different so when they get through that, they feel really, really strong in their mind about themselves as a parent. I can't parent somebody with a disability. That takes an expert. It
Yeah.
doesn't. There are experts that have, my fellow colleagues and educators and I mean, professionals abound. I won't exclude anybody because I've had all kinds of professional people make mistakes, around working with people with ASD, as well as great people that can kind of see through that and help them too. So there's a lot of good folks out there too. So we're just trying to like get everybody caught up.
Mhm.
So when parents feel um, heard, and this is a way that they feel heard, they're like, wow, you really got to some stuff that I don't get to anywhere. So Um, I had a parent who finished the Calm Compass in a month, and so we're working on it in session. And I said, well, this is in the direction of, and then I pointed to him like, test question, da, 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 da. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not doing so good at that. And that was just kind of a reminder that we need to go back and review. So
Mhm.
it's good to kind of review our own progress
Yeah.
in these challenging times too. Um, and so parents have it for a year. Sometimes they want it longer, and I'm like, absolutely. I just want you to have this longer. I may not. The program's not open like for infinity for people if they purchase it, but it's definitely like if you call me and go, Mitch, I had a heck of a 3 to 6 months. Can I have it? Yes, I want you to just use it. I want you to have it. So there's no hard stop on people needing it, using it, watching the videos. So a lot of the videos I've heard are really helpful because you can't find that in a book. So
Sure.
they're just like, these are examples of clients and situations that have come up for people to be able to relate to. Everybody's different. So actually what I've said to parents recently is, hey, if you have a situation that is unique or you think other people would benefit, let me know. I'll do a video. We'll stick it right in there because we can do that with this cloud-based program. It's great for
Right.
it. So
Nice.
yeah.
That's great. I love it. And so it sounds like it's a self-paced type of a program where parents can purchase the program. They go online, they have, the videos, the material, and they can go at it at their pace. Or is it more of a group program where you join in with you and you lead it? Explain a little bit more about what that looks like as far as how they actually dive into it.
Yeah, thanks, Jeffrey. It was originally intended actually as just kind of a self-paced program to give parents something else um, at, at at their time of day, after 8 or 9 o'clock, right before
Sure.
they crash, right
Yeah.
before the parents those long days, or something, when they're on a vacation and they just want to like take time for themselves to do something that's different. Okay, we're going to do a little beach read, which is great. Take a break and let's dive into some of the stuff about autism and my parenting strategies and how they need to we're um, and for people who I don't, so mostly it's been with people that I've been seeing in my practice, but there also have been quite a few people that are just getting it independently. Um, and using it and applying it and might send me a message about something like this was really helpful, or I would love another video on this particular topic on sensory integration, sensory strategies, to which I say I'm not an OT, but I'm happy to do a little research for you and just give you,
Yeah.
trying to stay in my lane a little bit here on the
Yeah.
um, but and so the program itself is quite flexible to be used either independently, either in a parent consultation session with me. I mean, if people that have bought it and they have a question with me, I'm happy to help them. It's not a charge thing. If they want to work with me, we can work together, but it's also like, I just want you to know, I want you to get from this. That's the main kind of point of all this. And then the schools, clinic, centers, that just became kind of a really cool thing lately, where uh, kind of promoting it for schools to have kind of this integral program where everyone is operating from kind of the same textbooks, if you will, right? The
Right.
same plan. And so any professional, any even parent group facilitator, I mean, these are not, earth-shaking concepts. They are words we use every day, and reframe. We're just using them in the context of helping parents with their kids and families with autism and neurodivergent needs. So it can really just be used across the board. So hopefully um, people take advantage of that. Yeah, I'm hoping to use it with a parent group this fall coming up here. So
Nice.
um, yeah, been doing a few parent groups and um, running by these different strategies with them, and they're like, well, let's do some more of that.
Yeah.
It's really like, it, it's not just lofty either. I mean, I know parents need to get stuff off and they need their fellow parent supports, and they also are like, I need a tool for this. Um,
For
very
sure.
early childhood family education model. Yeah.
Nice. That's great. And as far as working with individuals, is this more in person or is it virtual?
Well, so two parts. One, I have a practice here in Minnesota. I'm only licensed to work with people that live in Minnesota. But a consultation I can do kind of with anyone, anywhere, especially around the Calm Compass.
Yep.
Um, and then just, you know, so part of my work with people who, especially center schools, clinics, is to actually go wherever they are, whether it's Utah or, Colorado or, New England, to work with the folks in that school and make sure that they can kind of get this up and running, either through
Nice.
Zoom or in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make it work for them and their families. Yeah.
Nice. So, what would you say? I know there's a lot of different therapies and different strategies for helping kids on the autism spectrum. Um, is how is this different from, like you said, occupational therapy or even ABA therapy? From what I'm hearing, it sounds like it's primarily a way to help parents and caregivers and schools of how to best connect with those kids. It's giving them tools. Whereas from what I see with occupational therapy and ABA therapy, it's more of the therapist doing direct interaction with that child, and maybe some education and teaching for the parents too. But it seems like that's more one-on-one with individuals. Am I understanding that correctly?
I think so without speaking for other professional
Sure.
groups. As a clinical social worker by nature and by training, I'm bridging a lot of social work and clinical parts and pieces to this that are palatable for parenting. There's a lot of P's in there. For
Mhm.
that so parents can really kind of integrate more practically the day-to-day uh, strategies. So there's a lot of psychoeducation around autism, and how it's different for everybody, and so on and so forth, um, and also the dynamics, like using relationships. So a lot of relationship building. That's a very powerful strategy, and we don't think of it as a strategy. We think of it as just, well, I'm dad and he's son. Nope. There's um there's bonding and attachment, that is there, and we're using that
Yeah.
to our benefit, leveraging that in um, good healthy ways. Um, so yeah, I think it really is for parents to be able to sort of take this and go, and then if they have questions or needs around it, reach out.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
Nice. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you feel like would be really important for parents to hear, before we wrap things up today?
Well, this has been great. I feel like we have said a lot. Um, so maybe just to reiterate on relating, like helping your child feel like they can connect to you, your family, um, and how that reverberates to peers and peer groups, to other adults. I mean, we're really growing adults. We're really helping these children with ASD live with ASD into adulthood, and so we're doing more than just. I know it feels like we're teaching them how to wash dishes and how to wash clothes and how to kind of clean up, and we're teaching them bigger things too, and that's also important. So,
Nice.
um, yeah, thank you, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bet. And another question that just came to my mind,
Oh, sure.
was as far as like individuals on the spectrum, do you find that you tend to serve more high functioning, low functioning, or just all ends of the spectrum when you're helping individuals and families?
So, I mean, again, kind of as a trained talk therapist, I I have been seeing kids who are verbal,
Hmm.
who are speaking. So all kids with ASD communicate. I'm not trained in the nonverbal forms or the non-speaking forms of communication as much.
Yep.
I have heard some feedback from parents who have used my program, the Calm Compass, to help them in some of the, especially schedule structured, the visual strategies, not necessarily using a whole lot of talk and speaking. Even though they're trying to help their kids talk, they're also trying to help their kids, and they're learning how to communicate just differently as well. So there's maybe less pressure on kids who are non-speaking to find find connection in that non-speaking. We use a lot of, we depend on speaking with each other in that connection, and parents have found that I don't know that's not their thing. So why am I hung up on that? And how can I think differently now? Kind of relate, right? Back to relate.
Exactly.
What's it like for them? How are they going to communicate things that they don't speak about? So, primarily speaking, but certainly that can, whatever parents get from it is great. So
awesome. Is there any last piece of advice you'd want to give anyone and let everyone know from your personal experience and having worked in this field for 30 years?
Oh, Jeffrey, advice isn't my favorite one either. Right. Narrow it down. I really try to encourage parents, and this is so hard. And I as a parent also find this hard, as not taking, your child's manifestations of their disability permanently, or personally, to try not to take these personally. We have to cut through the personal. This is not an attack on you, the parent. This is their communication that they are upset, dysregulated, and need you. Be that co-regulator. There you go. Let's end with parenting people with autism is being just the best co-regulator you can be. Help them connect to feel calm and be in control of their mind, their body. Yeah,
I like that. That's a good way to end us off today, Mitch. This has been really insightful for me. I've learned a lot. I really love the connect, articulate, lift, and movement concept. I can see how this could be really empowering for these parents, and I think it's brilliant that you're bringing it to schools too, because I hear so often of parents and their frustrations with schools because of some of the teachers just struggle to do some of these things, the connect, articulate, lift, and all that. And I think anything you can do to empower those people. Yeah.
Right. They're not really charged with helping the parents or educate the parents. I mean, they want to, but there's just not enough time and space to plug all that in. It's just a lot. So
yeah. Well, this is great.
Something. So
this is
thank you so much for having me, and thank you for listening, all your listeners out there. Yeah.
Well, awesome, Mitch. Well, again, it's been an honor to have you. I appreciate your work. I appreciate your heart and how your desire is to serve these families in a way that goes beyond even your scope of practice in Minnesota, where this can reach people throughout the whole country using the Calm Compass. And so I applaud you for your efforts and wish you tons of success in helping a lot of families going forward.
Oh, Jeffrey, the honor's mine. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone, for listening to our podcast today, The World of Autism. We appreciate your willingness to connect with us and look forward to connecting with you more in the future. Everyone, have a wonderful day. Thanks again. And please do check out our show notes. There you can find Mitch's contact information, ways to connect with him in receiving the Calm Compass to utilize for yourself as a parent, or maybe if you're a school teacher working in a clinic or a center that works with individuals on the autism spectrum, this could be a great resource for you. And I'm grateful for you connecting with us again. Please do share this and rate our podcast, and do subscribe so that you can be informed with when the next podcast will be coming out. Have a fantastic day, and God bless.